This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. You may have heard the expression at one point or another in your life, to be a star. You may have heard that celebrities refer to themselves as stars, as superstars, and you probably have never thought much about it because you've been trained not to think. That's why the world is in the situation that it's in right now. We've been trained not to think, but if we actually start thinking about what these sayings mean, and we start studying and examining these sayings like become a star, be a star, every man and every woman is a star, we will see that all of these things that have been normalized go back to the devil himself. They go back to people like Aleister Crowley, the man identified as the Beast 666, who is quoted in his book, The Book of the Law, saying that every man and every woman is a star. Now, you might hear that and say, what do they mean? There's a star up in the sky? What does that mean, right? Well, we've never given it much thought. We've just been told it, and we regurgitate it. But what he's referencing by saying that every man and every woman is a star is he's saying that every man and every woman is a god. And this is believed to be the forbidden knowledge that the secret societies teach. They believe that they are gods among us, and they are indoctrinating society to start believing that themselves. Now, I've told people many times over the years that you don't need to see the draw between on a pentagram to realize that a five-pointed star is in fact a pentagram. It's about the points in the star. The five-pointed star is the most common thing that we see that we don't even realize that we're seeing. It is more common in logos than the all-seeing eye is. You will see it with sports teams. You will see it just placed next to logos like Starbucks or Carl's Jr. or Heineken or Macy's. This is done by design because they're letting you know who is really in power. You'll even see the stars on many flags, like the United States of America's flag. The star represents as well communism in communist countries. Converse, we see, use the star. And celebrities will get the star tattooed on their body, and they won't expect you to ever ask a question as to why. People like Rihanna have the star tattooed all over them. Many celebrities have the tattoos on their wrists of just stars, random stars. And nobody thinks to themselves and says, what are they, fans of the Dallas Cowboys? What's going on here? Because they haven't been trained to see signs and symbols. They've been trained not to see them. They've been trained to not ask questions. They've been trained to live in oblivion. And that's where most people live while these witches and warlocks rule among us. So if I show you a regular five-pointed star without the lines going through it, you would say, well, that's just a star. You know, we learned that in school. But if I showed you the star that you associate with paganism, you would say, oh, right, that's the star the witches use. And if I showed you the upside-down star, you would say, well, that's the satanic star, right? The satanic goat, isn't it? When the 2 points of the star are aimed upward, like in the satanic temple or the satanic church's logo, the one that we always see associated with Satanism, even though they claim they don't worship Satan, it represents and indicates black magic, the 2 horns of Satan. The pentagram is even used in other religions like Hindu. The star of initiation that they use is the actual pentagram. And of course, this goes back to Freemasonic teachings, the blazing star. You may have never heard about the blazing star, but let me tell you about the blazing star. The star emblem that we see normalized in our everyday lives, like I just showed you in all these logos, is known as the blazing star to Freemasons. The blazing star points out the glory of the sun. It is central to all Masonic undertaking, for it enlightens the earth and by its benign influence dispenses its blessings to mankind. It is found in the 28th degree of Freemasonry and is the symbol of truth. It is found in the 4th degree as a symbol of light, and in the 9th degree, it is a symbol of divine providence. It is sometimes symbolically installed as the letter G. It is a door, an entrance to knowledge. And this references a lot of the stuff we see with secret societies like Skull and Bones as well. The 322 in Skull and Bones references Genesis chapter 3, verse 22. And the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. This is the knowledge that they believe that they have, that they are, again, gods among us. And they have this knowledge and we do not. Now, everybody out there knows that Albert Pike plays a pivotal role in all of the chaos you see going on in today's world, including the blueprint that's playing out for World War III, which Albert Pike wrote himself well over 100 years ago. It's playing out exactly that way. It was a blueprint for them to follow. It wasn't a prediction on how the world was going to pan out. It was a blueprint for these people to follow so that they could bring about this new world order. And Albert Pike's teachings and his books that they all follow in every Freemasonic lodge across the world all were inspired by another Satanist who went by the name of Eliphas LeVay. No relation to Anton LaVey, but he may have taken the last name from him. And his saying said the pentagram with two horns in the ascendant represents Satan or the goat of the Sabbath. The horn downward naturally represents the demon, that is, intellectual subversion, disorder, and folly. Now, another thing that we always hear about with the occult is esoteric, right? The word esoteric. That is what the black and white represents, the duality we always hear of, as above, so below, the Baphomet motto. So esoterically, the star symbolizes man as a deity, and it stands for Sirius, Sirius. You may be familiar with the radio station that people like demonic people like Howard Stern now put their content on. Of course, they conveniently are all democratic global communists. Sirius is known to be the brightest star. It's also known to be the planet where Satan dwells. It stands for Baal, the demonic god so often mentioned in the Old Testament. You know, the one that they sacrifice their children to. Now, biblically, in Amos chapter 5, verse 20, it says, "But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch and Chun, your images, the star of your God, which ye made to yourselves." The pentagram is clearly the emblem of the deity of the underworld. The communists, founded by Karl Marx, are obsessed with that little red star. In Freemasonry, an appropriate jewel is awarded the Rising Initiate. So they're given a jewel. It's believed that the jewel holds magical powers. It can be used to invoke or invite spirits and to work spells. This is written by Albert Pike. He said, quote, "Another jewel is necessary for you, and in certain undertakings cannot be dispensed with. It is what is termed the Kabbalistic pentagram. This carries with it the power of commanding the spirits of the elements. It is necessary for you to know how to use it. It is used to invoke spirits, to cast spells." And there's a massive spell that's currently being cast around the world. And all these corporations that are really ushering in global communism seem to love to use this pentagram and tell you that it's not a pentagram in their logos. They tell you it's just a star, right? They want you to buy one and put it on your barn. They want you to buy one, put it on your door. They want to tell you that it's normal for all these corporations to use a star, because when you look through a telescope and you look up at a star in the sky, it looks nothing like what they tell us this star is supposed to look like. So why is that? Because it's an occult symbol. And since World War II, you may have noticed that the majority of military equipment in the United States of America, from tanks, jeeps, aircraft, emblems, badges, all have stars on them. All the stars on the U.S. flag, these are all of Masonic origin. The music used for our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, was composed by a Mason, John Stafford Smith, a member of Royal Somerset House and Lodge Number 4 in London. Francis Scott Key set the words to the music. And of course, Francis Scott Key, you might remember that bridge that they deliberately sabotaged that has a lot of symbolism to the actual sabotaging of the United States of America, which is being done by Freemasons. You won't be able to turn many places in this world without seeing a star. I promise you, if you start looking for signs and symbols, you won't have to look very far. You won't have to listen to the people out there that look at people like me and say that we see this stuff everywhere. We only see this stuff everywhere because it is everywhere. They're marking everything. This is Satan's realm. Everything on this plane is interlaced with occult symbols. It's all around us. It's just a matter of what frequency you're operating on. Are you even in a conscious state of mind? Are you paying attention to the stuff around you? I know it's difficult to pay attention to a lot of what's going on because we're constantly distracted. We're constantly exhausted. We have frequencies being sent at us day in and day out, in addition to many witches and Satanists who spellcast against us. Now, I don't want people out there who listen to my channel to be fearful of these things. I don't want you to be fearful about demonic powers, because as Christians, we're unaffected by spells, right? In 1 John chapter 5, verse 4 and 5, for whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. And this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. Who is he that overcometh the world, but he that believeth that Jesus is the Son of God? And again, I tell people out there to always look for this stuff. You could see the 5-pointed star everywhere. It is not necessarily the star that has the lines drawn through it. But there is a reason at a young age when you're in the school system that the teachers have you draw that star with the lines through it, because you're getting indoctrinated almost immediately upon entering the beast system, which really, in a sense, is also the school system, in addition to many other parts of that system that we're all pushed into with driver's licenses, birth certificates, social security numbers, etc. I would tell people out there who listen to my channel to just look for yourself if you think it's all a conspiracy. Look at all these celebrities that have star tattoos on them and find out what the meaning of it is. They won't tell you what the meaning of the star on their body is. They won't tell you why any of these corporations that we're supposed to believe are so successful don't have some type of an original marketer who would say, hey, we probably shouldn't use a star in our logo because they might get it confused with another company's logo, since every company has a star in their logo, right? Like you saw earlier, you could just go through companies with stars from, like I said, NFL has a star, Paramount has a star, Subaru, energy companies. How about the fact that all the anti-bullying campaigns out there are called things like Be a Star, and encourage people out there to be a star while they use the pentagram as their logo? What is the anti-bullying movement? Well, the anti-bullying movement is in fact the movement that is silencing free speech, because to them, bullying is questioning the insanity that our government, that the global government is normalizing. They're saying that you're a bully if you question all the insane ideologies that they're pushing and preaching onto the young children out there. And then they push these organizations out there like Be a Star, these anti-bullying organizations, so that they could eventually use those to silence speech of people like me and you, who can easily expose these things and show everybody. How about the Eastern Star? Nobody asks a question about the Eastern Star. It's in your town. You go, what's the Eastern Star? Right? Well, the Eastern Star are witches in your town. They are witches, okay? It's the female version of Freemasons. A lot of them like to meet up at your local church, and you don't even realize it, even though the symbol's right in front of your face, an upside-down pentagram. Now, you're going to go, well, I know somebody who's in there. And I spoke to them, and they said that you're crazy. They're not a witch. They don't believe in these things. Because what do you think that they're trained to tell you? They're never going to come out. They take a vow of silence. That's why I always show you that symbol where they hold a finger up over their mouth. Witches and Satanists are sworn to secrecy, even though if you use discernment and open your eyes, you could see these symbols and these signs and these things all around us. By these things, I mean these witches and demons all around us. They aren't hiding necessarily. They're hiding in plain sight with their signs and symbols. And while the Eastern Star is operating at your church, you're thinking that it's just a bunch of women who like to go to knitting class. Like the Freemasons are a bunch of people who like to get together and do keg stands and watch baseball games. Couldn't be further from the truth. The teachings that they follow all go back to ancient Babylonian text. And there's a certain group of people, as I mentioned in that free Masonic teaching that I read to you from Albert Pike, about the Kabbalah. Because this all ties together. This all ties together with a Luciferian world order who uses a pentagram as their logo, just like the United States flag uses pentagrams on the flag. And they tell you that each star represents a state. And like their hero, Aleister Crowley, who you can find entrenched in everything in pop culture. The normalization of yoga goes back to Aleister Crowley, opening doors and gateways for spirits in your body. And people out there don't want to hear it because their back got cured by doing yoga stretches. I tell you the truth on this channel. I don't tell it to you because I'm trying to ruin your life and ruin things that are normal to you. You wouldn't have known about yoga had it not been promoted and pushed onto all of us, just like everything else that is normalized and pushed onto us, just like holidays, like Christmas, which are Saturnalia, all of it. It's all satanic in its origins. And people don't want to believe it because they don't want to separate from this world. And what does God tell us? In 1 John chapter 2, verse 15, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. And that's 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. The pentagram, ladies and gentlemen, is the most known symbol that we see on a day in and day out basis. And like all symbols, they don't just go back to Satanism, because when we say that, when I say Satanism, everybody just thinks to themselves, well, who are these people? Where are they? They're hiding among us. Yes, very true. But they also meet in your town every week at the Freemasonic Lodge and the Eastern Star Lodges. And they sit there and they pretend like they don't. But their books and their teachings tell us all of this. And they are pushing as fast as they can to get this new world order established. And remember whose motto is order out of chaos, divide and conquer. It's the Freemason motto. And what do you see in the world going on right now? Nothing but division. Nothing but division. But every single politician on the left and the right is a member of some secret society, and it has been initiated through Freemasonry, and are doing this deliberately to all of us. Again, this is Satan's world. Open your eyes and look around. The star is a pentagram, and it doesn't take somebody with a super amount of discernment to see it. It just takes you opening your eyes and realizing the deception that has been thrust upon us that we are living inside of. Welcome to the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless all of you as always and your families.